It is day 9 of the 31 days of Halloween, and it's Fabric Friday. Hi, this is Kelly with Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and today we're pressing fabric, and I'm doing this same technique as I did with the napkins because fabric is thin. Fabric will show any wrinkles if you squizzle. Yeah, if you squizzle, there's a new word. If you squeegee your glue across and just do squiggly lines, then you may wind up with your lines in your fabric. But if you use the Mod Podge and let it dry and then come back with the iron, now I've had the iron heating since I did yesterday's video a couple hours ago. So it is pressed in there nice and good. And now that I know that I'm actually recording, I can flip this over. I'm coming back in with my good fabric shears because I get a good edge on that. And I really think I'm going to use my cheaters. It's getting harder and harder. So now I'm going to come back in here with this. And I'm going to do this very carefully because I don't want to cut my cardstock. And I don't know if I mentioned before, but now see, we'll use this for a tie later. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but for my tags, I'm using that extra heavyweight cardstock that I bought at Ollie's. Ooh, and by the time I go through Springfield next week coming home for my sisters, the new Ollie's will be opening in Springfield. So I'll get to see what they're, with bringing in brand new shipments in, if we'll have more of the paper products. We shall see. Okay, so we have that done. And now we're going to do what we've been doing, and that is to make sure that our corners are cut so we can play with our positioning. I don't need the big heavy scissors for this. I can come back in and I can do this with my smaller ribbon scissors and cut that. And come around and do this. Now, as I'm recording this, this is Friday's video, but I'm recording it on Wednesday. And I found out this morning that I'm going to be taking off a couple other days, and I'm going to be going and seeing my sister and spending a couple of days with Donna from Crazy Lady Creations and helping her get her bedroom redone. So that's going to be on my list. Now, I have these ribbons here, but I'm going to clip those ribbons off. And I'll show you why here in just a sec. But I'm going to punch them off. And I think I need to do this with my scissors because I do want to follow that scallop line that's on there. And I want to do them relatively close. So we're going to fussy cut these ribbon tails off. Because since it's Fabric Friday, how about if we bring in fabric tails? Yeah. And see, I can still use those. Those are nice little banner tags. In fact, I'm going to lay them up here. We may put them to use. And now I want to put fabric ties on that one. But I do still want them to be orange. So I think I'm going to use this. And they only need to be just a little bit right there. So I'll come back in with my fabric scissors and I'm going to cut a couple of those off. Just like that. And just like this. So they're about the same length as we would have used on there. Okay, to finish this, I need to put my cheaters back on because I want to do that snake tail. And fabric ones are really easy to do. Just fold your piece of fabric in half, come back up to about the depth you want your snake tail, and go like that. And then you have, ooh, that one's pretty deep, but that's okay. And we can do another one and not make it quite so deep. Let's do that. That one was pretty deep. So let's do this. The other thing is this is wider, so I'm going to narrow this down just a little bit because they don't need to be as wide either. That made a difference. So we can get rid of those. And then, like I said, we're not going to come in as deep, but we fold our fabric in half, and then we're going to cut this off not quite as deep as we did the other one. There we go. That's much better. And just snip. just like that. And now we have our two little snaketail ribbons, and I'm going to position them right here. Actually, we're going to come up kind of high and put this up here because I want to put our little guy down here. And I think we're going to put this over here like this. Yep, we got to come down just a little bit more. Come down just a little bit more. Like that. And put our little... We've got best costume, but do we really need Halloween on there? I don't think so. I don't think we need that one on there. But while I have this here, I am going to kind of bring these up a little bit. Just fold them up, just like this. And I'm just going to run a bit of glue across them. Just like that. And let them flop back down into place. Because I'm going to put this up on dimensionals. But before I do that, I'm going to dust it with the black soot and kind of tone that white down a little bit. Now I had thought about punching this out of the center and really raising it up. But I was afraid that would be too much here. Yeah, I think we're just going to do that. Just do that. Get all my... I have stuff starting to accumulate over here. And I don't want it to. So I'm going to come back. And now with these dimensionals, what I'm going to do, because that's adhering to fabric, I'm going to be adding a spot of glue on the back of each dimensional. Because I want to make sure that it's not going to come loose, and I don't want to trust that. Oh, wait a minute, that's not the one I want to use it on. I can do here. Never mind. We'll do it when we put it onto the fabric, not onto the paper. And we're going to put one in the center. No trampoline on this ribbon here. Okay, there's that. Now I can go through and peel the papers off. And because I don't want to trust the sticky on the dimensionals to stick to the fabric, in fact, I don't think I'm going to use the Tombow. I think I want to use my craft glue. So let's bring that back up. And I had my little brush here a minute ago. This is the one I want. And I'm just going to add a dab of glue to each one of those dots, because this glue will adhere to fabric really well. And so I know those dots are not going to go anywhere. Just like that. Just like that. Okay? And then, always make sure you tap your glues, because they will harden. They'll get tacky, but not in the tacky way you want them to be tacky. And then we'll do that like that. Now, I had thought about this for up here, but I'm thinking I need to bring in some black. So, and the reason, do I want to do black? Yeah, let's do black. And I'm going to need, whoops, not that one. I'm going to need one of my clips. This will save for another embellishment. What am I doing? Yeah, black. I lost my brain for a minute. I've got two things of thread over here. I'm pretty sure I don't need all the things of thread. And because my iron is ready to go, I can press this fabric ribbon out and get that crease out of there. There, now we won't have that crease in our ribbon. I think when I'm doing these tags, I think I'm just going to leave that iron in, because it just works so well. Now I'm also not tying this one. I'm going to glue it. Excuse me, I'm going to glue it because, well, let's put him on there first, and let's let's get rid of his glow a little bit. I don't want to totally cover up that white, but I do need to tone it down a little bit. And we're going to raise that one up on dimensional, so we're going to be doing the same thing. And, you know, normally I don't use dimensionals and pop stuff up on tags because I want them to be able to go in a pocket. But these may or may not actually go in pockets. Some of them could actually be glued straight down to the page or hinged on a page so that in a scrapbook page you could hinge it open right on the back and lay it back flat. And that means that the excuse me, the ribbon that we put on top is nothing more than a decorative element. And that one really needs one more to keep that trampoline from being an issue. As soon as I get the right size. Just like this. Okay? And then we're going to come back and we're going to dust them with that glue again. I've got the fabric tub down here underneath the desk where I would normally put my feet. And it's really driving me crazy that I go to put my feet up and I can't put my feet up. Okay, so I've got to take all my papers off. That would help. So are you a fall or a Halloween person? Tell me down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what side of the festivities you sit on. You can even sit on both. I'd love to hear. That's what the comment section is for. Thank you very much. Okay, that's better. I'm going to set my glue up there. And now this guy is ready to go where he's supposed to. Right down here. And see, it doesn't have to be extra special. And I'm going to put this to where this sits on the front of the tag. And I don't need it all that length, so I'm just going to glue it down where it needs to go. And then snip it off. And then I've got that little piece of ribbon that I can use for something else. And then we're going to glue him. Let me get down here on my center. I'll be right back with you. Down here. Okay, so I can see where my glue needed to go. And then that's going to go right there. If I can get this up underneath a little bit. And then I'm going to put more glue there. And so I make sure I get a good adhesion. I'm going to put glue on the back of this button that I have threaded with black thread. And then I can take and press that right down there. And there is our Friday fabric tie, day 10 for our 31 days of Halloween. And you'll see it in completion. There we go. Thanks for joining me in the studio today. I will be back tomorrow for Spooky Sunday, which will be our day 11 of the 31 days of Halloween. In the meantime, please remember to like, to share, subscribe, and spooky creative blessings.